Hey guys, it's Alexis, aka the Sloth Reader, and I'm here today to do the 25 bookish facts about me. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but it has taken me literally over like 2 months to think of 25 bookish facts that I considered kind of unique to my reading lifestyle, because I didn't want to film a video where I was just kind of saying a lot of the generic answers that I'd heard on a lot of other people's videos, so I tried to make mine a little bit more unique. Not that the answers that these other people gave weren't unique, it was just stuff that I felt like a lot of readers would associate with, stuff like, I judge books by their cover and stuff like that, so I tried to pick more unique answers that I felt were very specific to me as a reader. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get into it. Number 1, I usually read about 5 books at a time. I usually only read 1 physical book, and then I will read anywhere from 4 to 5 books on my Kindle. Number 2, my favorite genre is fantasy. I've always loved fantasy ever since I was a little kid, and that is something that has stuck with me into my adulthood. Number 3, my next favorite genres behind fantasy are going to be science fiction, historical fiction, and dystopian. Number 4, I'm actually reading Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling for the first time this year. I read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone back in January, and up to this point I'm on Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and I do hope to read the rest of them before the year is over. My favorite childhood series, which is just basically the series that got me into reading, was the Land of Elion books by Patrick Carman. I read them as they were coming out from start to finish, and so for me, that series was what Harry Potter was to a lot of other kids, so it's very special to me. Number 6, unlike many other readers, I don't hesitate to DNF a book. If I'm not enjoying it, I don't finish it. However, when I DNF a book, I refuse to rate it, so while I have DNF'd some bigger names, such as Miss Peregrine's Home for the Peculiar Children and Me Before You, those books do not receive ratings from me because I didn't finish that. I don't have a right to judge it. Number 7, as a 21st birthday present to myself, I gifted myself an Air of Fire tattoo on my leg, which I will find a picture and leave it up here on the screen so you can see it. That series, Throne of Glass as a whole, really struck a chord with me, even though I only started reading it last year, and I fell in love with it so much. Number 8, I don't eat or drink when I read. It's not even necessarily that I'm weird about ruining my books, it's just that I don't like to have to focus on my food and reading. So typically, even if I'm mid-sentence in a chapter and I decide to go up and get something to eat, I will put my book down and watch 20 seconds of a TV show while I eat instead. I just don't like to eat and drink and read at the same time. Number 9, I read equal parts ebook and physical books. I find that a lot of times on BookTube, people heavily favor physical copies over ebook, over reading ebooks, but most of the time, ebooks are incredibly cheaper than physical books are, which means if I don't have a very specific reason I want to own the physical book, usually I'll just buy the ebook of it. Number 10, 2 of my closest friends that I've had throughout my life, my friend Erica and my friend Ashley, both actually became my close friends over our mutual love of reading, so I'm glad that reading could bring me friends in that special way. Number 11, I organize my bookshelves alphabetically by author last name. I used to work in a library, and of course that is how you do all fiction, by author last name, and for me to do it any other way literally drives me crazy because I feel like I can't find anything. Number 12, I've never done a buddy read in my entire life, and I mean a more structured buddy read where you're picking up the book at the same time, you're trying to complete a certain number of pages per day, you're trying to finish it at the same time and talk about it every day. I've never done that. I have a very weird reading lifestyle where I read a lot at work, and sometimes I only get a chance to read for 15-20 minutes a day, and so it's just very not conducive to a buddy read-along, because then I get super behind everybody else, and it's a lot of pressure I don't want when I'm trying to read. Number 13, I write most of my reviews in the shower, and what I mean by that is I will be standing in the shower, washing my hair, collecting all of my thoughts on a review I want to write for a book. So I guess that's pretty weird. Number 14, I love listening to audiobooks, but I have trouble listening to them because I can't listen to audiobooks and do other things at the same time. So I can't listen to audiobooks and write papers, or listen to audiobooks and do homework, or even listen to audiobooks and cook dinner. The only two times I can listen to an audiobook is when I'm in the car driving or whenever I'm laying down to go to sleep, and neither of those typically last very long time, so I usually can only listen to an audiobook 15-20 minutes at a time before my mind is on to something else. Number 15, I love hearing people's unpopular opinions. I have had many unpopular opinions throughout my reading time, such as me having DNF'd such popular books as Me Before You by Jojo Moyes and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. So I love hearing people talk about their unpopular opinions. I'm actually pretty sure I've seen 75% of the popular opinions book tags that have been posted onto BookTube because I just love it. It's like a drug to me. Number 16, my top 5 favorite books of 2015 were Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir, and I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. Number 17, I prefer reading hardbacks over paperbacks because undoubtedly every time I read a paperback, it gets damaged in some way. Either the front cover gets a scratch on it, or it gets dented, or the spine gets all out of line, and for that particular reason, I prefer to read hardbacks because they're so much easier to mess up, and even if you get scuffs or anything on the cover, you just put a dust jacket over it and nobody ever sees it. So I prefer reading hardbacks. 18, that being said, I'm really not particular about having books that are a little messed up looking. I know a lot of people on BookTube say that if they have a book that has a scratch on it or a dent on it or one of the pages are bent, they'll go out and buy a new copy. I am not in a situation like that at all. That being because, number 19, I buy a lot of secondhand books. I absolutely love going to the secondhand bookstore that's right down the road from me and buying used books that are $1. I absolutely love it. I feel like I'm getting an amazing deal, and I also enjoy selling back to those secondhand bookstores. So, yay for secondhand bookstores. Number 20, my cat Jaeger loves to get in between me and a book whenever I'm reading. If it's a physical book or if it's on my Kindle, he will literally come and sit right between me and my book. I've taken pictures of it before, and I will see if I can find one and put it up here because it's something that happens to me all the time, which is why reading takes me forever because I'm always having to push my cat out of the way. 21, where I buy most of my physical books is on Amazon because Amazon sells brand new hardback books for like $12 where they're like $20 in the store, and I'm sorry, but I am too cheap to pay that extra money. I would much rather save those $8 to put towards buying more books, so I buy a lot of books on Amazon. Number 22, I don't normally reread books. I know people who talk about rereading their favorite books every year, and I just don't do that. The only book series I have ever in my life reread is the Hollow Kingdom trilogy by Claire B. Dunkel. And I read those books after 6 years of having read them the first time. So the only chance of me ever rereading books is when it's been a substantial length of time between the first reread and when I'm going to choose to do the second reread. That being said, I am trying to reread some of my favorite books next year that I haven't read in a while, so maybe my stance on rereadings will change. Number 23, it doesn't bother me to have different editions of books on my shelves. I know people who will only buy the hardcover in a specific book because they want them all to match, and that just really doesn't bother me at all. I don't mind having the first 3 books in a series be paperback and then have the 4th book be in a hardcover. That's actually exactly how my The Raven Cycle Quartet are. The first 3 books I own in in a paperback, and the last book I own in a hardcover. It really doesn't bother me. I don't mind. I actually like the way it looks to have a more staggered height difference on your bookshelves. And also, too, I won't necessarily own a whole series of books. For the Throne of Glass books, despite how much I love them, I only own Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows in a physical copy, and I actually don't see myself going back to buy Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight in a physical copy because I don't really feel the need to. Number 24, I read out loud a lot. I love when I'm laying down in bed right before I go to sleep, when I'm reading a book, I read out loud and I do different voices for all the characters, and it's fun for me, it's enjoyable, it helps me really get more into the story, and it helps me try to imagine how the characters say things, and I like to give accents to some of them, and it's an enjoyable thing for me to do, and I've been doing it pretty much for as long as I can remember. And finally, number 25, I make a TBR for every readathon that I've ever heard about, but I've never actually done a readathon before. So when Thoughts on Tomes came out with her tome topple, I made a TBR for that. I didn't even pick up any of the books I even thought about reading for it. When it was the buddy read along, even though I don't do buddy reads, I still made a TBR for it. So it's really weird because for every readathon I hear about, I make a TBR for it, but I never participate. Hopefully I'll be planning to do my first readathon actually in July and August, and hopefully I'll actually do it this time. Alright guys, well that has been my 25 bookish facts about me. I love this, that people do this, because it's such an interesting way to really get to know who we are beyond just the fact that we're readers and our more specific quirks about our reading lifestyle. And so I was really excited to sit down and do this, even though it definitely took me a while to think of the things I wanted to say. But yeah, so this is my 25 bookish facts about me. You guys should let me know down below if you share any of these particular quirks with me, or maybe you do the opposite of what I do and we can have a little discussion about it. And so yeah, I will see you guys with another video soon. Bye!